Peace, Queen. How you doing today?
I am well.
Dr. Joy. It is a joy and a pleasure to have you over here. My question to you is, you talk a lot about, the effects of slavery. And in our current state of America today, and all the things that you're seeing, what currently is going on in Baltimore, with the Walter Scott case, and just a lot of America's ugly past coming back open when you have the Oklahoma situation with the young man talking about the ends, this and that, but then also the submissive behavior when you had a bunch of black folk walking in hand to have him apologize. Where do you see we are right now, currently in America?
Ooh-wee. So it's just, I don't know if I can answer this in a short way.
Give us your version.
Well, here's the thing. There's one of the things that I've always been a student of is a student of change, how change happens. Okay. There's a wonderful book. Well, I don't even know if they use it anymore, but they used it when I was in high school and in college. It's called The Structure of Scientific Revolutions. Okay. And basically, what it looks at is how change happens. For example, there was a point in which in our meeting today there would have been ashtrays years ago. There'd have been ashtrays because people would have been smoking, right? There was points where you'd go in various people's homes and they have beautiful ashtrays. It was a big deal, right? And then what happens is there's a preponderance of evidence, and this preponderance of evidence, it's not. We're talking about happening not just in a local area, but pretty much almost globally. And then there's a paradigm shift, and you never return. You never return to where you were before. If someone would have lit a cigarette up in there, probably the peer pressure alone would have put it out, right? There was also a point in which we believed the earth was flat and that the earth was the center of the universe. And, others gathered, Galileo, various folks, they would stand up and go, no, I don't really believe that's so. And then they would put them in jail, beat them. Even Borno, who actually was an individual who dreamed that the universe was expansive, and they burned him alive. Wow. Right. And then there was a preponderance of evidence. And there was a paradigm shift. So you'll never hear anyone go, let's go revisit that earth is flat, right?
Yeah, no.
Right, it'll never happen. And it won't happen because there's a preponderance of evidence. Well, there's also a preponderance of evidence. I believe we're on the precipice. Okay. There's a preponderance of evidence now about the issues of racism and the issue of structural inequality and the structure of oppression as this country emerges to be seen globally. Wow. See, before, when we were trying to educate people, it was one person at a time, one encyclopedia at a time. Now, my grandkids will ask me a question, before I can answer it, they'll Google it. Okay. And what that means is that the world is watching now. You see, the world sees. It's not, it used to take months, even years, for people to get the information, but now people have it in an instant. And so the playing field now is much broader, and the whole world is looking on and saying, shame on you, America. Okay. And so I think we're really on the precipice of that change. But it's always darkest before the dawn. People are going to go out kicking and screaming. There are people who are willing to take this country down rather than reconcile the reality of the fact that the majority of the people of the world are a world of color, and they are going to emerge as the leaders. This is the fear. And when that fear happens is when people get ugliest. Okay. See, so I really believe that that's where we are. We're there now where no one has to say. I mean, there used to be a point, I remember not too long ago, where you couldn't even say racism.
Yeah, you're right.
You see what I'm saying? You couldn't even say that. And so I believe that there is a preponderance of evidence. You see, that everybody's seeing it. There was somebody that recently was destroying a woman's cell phone. Yeah. But it was a cell phone taking a picture of that.
Exactly, right? So everybody's recording somebody, and somebody's recording something.
And everyone's seeing it.
Exactly.
And they're seeing it in an instant. And so, the world court, the world judge is watching. And I think, again, it's going to get much uglier. And I tell everybody that. It's going to get much uglier. We need to keep ourselves safe. We need to be have an understanding about what's going on. That's why I show that slide, 2014, that shows, diversity equals white genocide, because this is recent. This is the fear. And if that's true, then I'm saying that in order for you to exist, I have to cease to exist. Wow. And if you think about it dichotomously, then what it is, it's us or you. Do you see what I'm saying? You just do the math on that. And so then you understand that this huge fear and anxiety, which has always really been there, but now it's coming to, to a head.
We've become such a social and social media effective world, where now it's like record, push, play.
Right.
When you look at back in '92 with the Rodney King, it wasn't like people wasn't getting beat by the police, because we were, especially in LA, Crenshaw. You're like, that's not news, but it's now on video. It seems like we happen to be more engaged when you see like a video. Even with the Baltimore incident currently, we're more engaged because we got to see this young man going into the paddy wagon, and now this young man doesn't end up coming out.
Right.
So what do we have to do as overall Black America? Like, what's our agenda? What's our stake in all this?
There are a lot of pieces. It's not either or, it's and. We've got to do a lot of stuff. And I will often say to people that, you know, I do what I do because this is the lane I'm in. I don't get out of my lane. I don't try to do what somebody over there does.
You're not going to be protesting or doing things.
I'm doing joy. This is what I've been given to do. And I can guarantee to my people and everyone else that I'm going to do my very best in my lane. I'm going to do the very best that I can in my lane. But everybody's in a lane. And everybody needs to get about that. And it's about really stepping, if you see the gap, step in the gap. And they're everywhere. So, for example, I've been speaking to some international lawyers. International Black lawyers who are saying, y'all going about this all wrong. These are crimes against humanity, provable now. Because in order for something to be considered a crime against humanity, you have to show a specific group targeted over time with specific kinds of results. We have that now. We actually have.
Because all the documentation is
it's all there. So you have the international community of Africans and African Americans that are going, these are crimes against humanity. And so again, they're taking note that this needs to be taken to the national court. So, and that's their lane. Do you see what I'm saying? When they said that to me, we were on a radio interview together, and I was just so moved by that. I said, I'm so happy you're there. I'm so happy you're doing what you're doing from that vantage point. In education, we have to insist. If you're an educator, it's like what I did with the Statue of Liberty. I insisted. I said, I'm an educator. This is what I do. What you don't get to do is say, here is the information, and then I show it to people. I said it needs to be, available. And when, the head guy heard me, he did hear me. He says, I want you to come back, paid me to train all the people. He says, and we're going to make this right. And they did. And so I think we have to not expect someone else to do it. That's the issue. We'll look at something and go, why hasn't anyone? What do you think I'll do it? Okay, that means you.
We have to do it.
We have to do it. It's the same thing that Antar was saying too. We have to do it. We're going to be the ones that heal our communities. We're the ones that are going to teach young Black boys what it means to be men. I mean, we have to do it. And so the answer is on multiple levels. But basically, I don't care where you are, you can do work. You can step in the gap. You can help.
So you feel like even the protesters play an important key point?
Of course, everybody plays.
Because if we don't have that, the documentation of frustration in the people, are people really going to really pay attention?
And I'll tell you a larger piece to it. When I say the rest of the world, I mean the rest. You had people doing die-ins in India. Okay, so I'm saying that we have to, as a people, begin to look at ourselves as part of a global reality, not as a local or even a national one. We while we're having this conversation, you got folks that are mining asteroids. Buying them, mining them, and then you have people that already have dibs on Mars. They're not looking for water. They're looking for minerals. They're looking for unobtainium.
While our people constantly are getting distracted. We're here, Bruce Jenner's on, gotta watch. Kim Kardashian is wearing this, gotta watch.
That's right. And we are dealing with a global reality. They're already buying the atmosphere, right? So I think it was about 15 years ago, I read an article called Blue Gold. And that was way before the water crisis happened. Blue gold, water. Water is going to be the gold in the future. Water. On a lot of levels. On a lot of levels.
Just like how it was a particular time when we never used to have to buy bottled water. And then all of a sudden they figured out a way to charge us. Something that was free. And then give us ridiculous prices. Wow, that's interesting.
And then convince us that the other water isn't good. And see that, and again, you have, I think in certain parts of, I don't know if it was San Francisco or Seattle, one of those started testing the water, and they started saying, we're not going to pay for recycling because there's no need to have it.
Wow.
So a lot of folks are going, how about we check and see there's another one with the water.
Wow. Now you say village movement. We need to get back to the village movement. What does that really mean? Get back to the village move. Some people might think, well, I have my village. We're moving. What is this village move that you keep talking about?
Village basically looks at connecting to people. I grew up, and many people, like when you go to different countries, people know each other. There's no strangers in the community, no strangers in the neighborhood. Everybody knows everybody because everybody engages and interacts. We are raising selfish, self-centered, hedonistic people.
Wow.
That's what we're becoming. We're becoming object-oriented too. We're becoming, I am what I wear, I am the car I drive, I am my stuff, the stuff. So we have a responsibility, you see, to, when I think of village and healing the village, we have to begin to value other human beings above and beyond my stuff. You know, and again, as Black people, excuse me, instead of looking at things in terms of, you know, well, yeah, we want to do this together, but who gets the mic?
Who gets all the accolades?
He gets the juice.
Yes.
He's got the most, you know, all of those things. But you see, all of that has to do with being invisible people and trying to figure out a way. There's a statement I make in the first book where I said, if I am a molehill, then by God there shall be no mountains.
Wow.
And that's where you start seeing folks, you know, just chopping each other up. You know, if I'm a molehill, I can't let you be large. You know? And then all the hating and all that stuff. But that all centers around my valuing myself based on things outside of me.
But it all centers in for what you said, post-slavery.
Yeah, well, yeah, absolutely. But we're perpetuating it because we're not telling the story, we're not educating ourselves. So our children are actually growing up with less awareness and more pathology because of all the craziness going on today. And notice in my lecture, I don't mention, you know, the usual subjects of drug abuse and, you know, sexual abuse and all of the materialism. I didn't even get to that. That's layered on top. So we've got some work to do around healing each other. And guess what? You can't do it by yourself. When it gets deep, I call for folks. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to solve everything by myself. Sometimes I just need my sisters with me. Look, can you come? Can you be with me? Can we talk? And we have now literature and research that shows literally that the more women gather together more frequently and the larger the number, the longer they'll live.
Now, when you
we have the information.
Now, the last question I want to ask: you look at, do you see there's a discrepancy between women, are, of course, the first responders, the queens and mothers of the earth, but with the media or just how we kind of as Africans go about directing the importance, where you have a Black male that's murdered, you got us rioting on the streets, we have a Black female, and even with the young girl that got murdered and the man was acquitted when she was in her bed. And the most recent shooting with Miss Boyd, not even that many people showed up to march for her behalf. Do you feel like there is more of a stress over importance for the African male compared to the woman? And if it is, what do we need to do to fix that?
It's not either or, it's and. And we have to also be careful not to polarize, say either or. Okay. It's both. I mean, the answer is very straightforward. It's not that we have to save, we got to save everybody. We got to save all of our people. And so, but we've been raised in a system that teaches us to think in dichotomies. Okay. And basic African culture is diunital. It's the union of opposites. That's how we created jazz, right? Whereas basic contemporary music, when I said that's not really music, it's absolute music. Syncopated rhythms, things that go together that don't seem like they go together, diunital. The union of opposites. So we are able to then fold that information into how we move through the world. So when you look at the role of women and the role of men, we have different roles, but we're equally necessary to the society. So it's not like I'm going to stop to help women and not help men. I got to help men and women, right? I got to help men and women and children. I got to help them all. And again, all of us are in different lanes as it related to that. I've spoken to people who are teachers, that are doctors, that are attorneys, that are filmmakers, that are, you know, artists. We need all of them. Step in the gap.